as the APC had promised through the national chairman Abdullahi Adamu, that the four that were put out that turned up at the end of the day, and you had started the conversation by saying you were not surprised by the fact that these four still emerged. Well, in the long term, do you think this would pose a problem for the ruling APC going forward, and to an extent it could rub off on the activities of the National Assembly members, because those in the North Central and the Northeast will continue agitating and claiming or feigning marginalization? Do you think or emphasize that this will bring some kind of distraction or truncate the attempt at having a unified parliament going forward?
You see, Raymond, you've heard me say it on various occasions. That also generated the issue in Madam Rufai a couple of weeks ago, clearly, with audacity and guts, to highlight that he is glad that this has happened, and then they are projecting further to dominate across all the various states where they dominate, where Christian minority states, where they do all of that. And what happened? The nation generally constitution pardoned such derogatory remarks on the generality of the state of our religious background that was pardoned. Secondly, or thirdly, on the issue of some principal offices has been highlighted. And remember a couple of weeks ago, and I told you, Southeast, where yourself is the Senate President, we've had the likes of Oju Maduegwe, Ike Kweremadu, Anyempayo Sanyim, Chisichuku Merije, so who had a whole lot of about 5 or thereabouts Senate President from that axis. So his agitation was not very important at the time. And I think if what is in my mind is actually what is their projection for the fair and equity and justice, it was the right thing for them to have done the analysis they did by projecting the South-South for the Senate President. Now, for other key principal officers that has been there, I am not expecting anything less from them than for them to continue to play politics by mixity, play politics by religious ground, play politics by which ethnic dominate the political scene. And we've seen over the year from 1999 before the advent of the time. Major offices, you go to major parastatal in the FCC is dominated by the northern people. You go to the military, it's dominated by the northern people. You go to virtually all the sectors of the government is dominated by them. But that's not the point of emphasis for today. I think moving forward, like you rightly pointed out in your were asking the questions, this is the only nation in the world with minimal revenue generated per annum and low foreign reserve. We are not producing any. We are a consuming-based nation, and you have a senator earning more than any country that is, for instance, South African foreign reserve per annum is higher than ours. But then the legislators are not as robust as us. And I think there should be a whole lot of consideration in this take-home. There should be, in my opinion, there should be a part-time, or not a part-time, there should be a complete salary cut on the senators' enumeration. Is unbelievable. Secondly, I think the issue of what criteria, in terms of leadership criteria selections, we must review it. On what basis do we have some of the things happens in a country like ours? No respect for law, no respect for our constitution, and I'm still very shocked and surprised. How do Ahmed Lawan came back to Senate? How? So I'm still surprised. So, but however,
So,
so there's a whole lot of things.
the fix here, Bennett, is with reference to the concerns raised about how much our lawmakers take home at the end of the month. They are the lawmakers. It's their duty to make those laws, and they just push it to the presidency. And after lobbyings that must have taken place, and sometimes due or undue pressure, if you like, depending on which angle you see it, they get most of these things passed. If the president has reservations about it, for instance, like we saw before the signing of the Electoral Act by President Buhari in 2022, it goes back and forth. So when it comes to the issue of improving or increasing the salaries of lawmakers, it still boils down to their table. It's their duty. They're the ones who, year in, year out, continue to proffer suggestions as to how to improve their own welfare, either through salaries or allowances. And then those of the Nigerian workers are left to languish. So who will hold them accountable?
Raymond, you and I know for sure, as delicate as Nigerian democracy is, as crooked and corny as our pollution is, as funny as our democracy is, when it comes to who respect which law, if the law is actually meant for the poor. You and I know for a fact and for certainty that the legislators will not project any law that will subjugate or try to review their salary or their take home. They won't do that. Even if one or two legislators make an attempt, it won't scale through anywhere. The soft law will be killed before the twinkle of an eye. So, what country are we running? We're running a country survival of the fittest. So you do what you can to survive, and when opportunity comes by, if you want to live by the law, you live by the law. If you want to breach the law, you breach the law. Who has the law been held accountable by those who held public offices, and how accountable are they to the citizens or by the law, by the constitutions? So even the president, the elected president, with all the issues from foreign countries, with billions of drugs and all of that, he is your president. And nothing is wrong, nothing is normal to be a president in our country. It's normal for anybody to rule us in our country. In the elections, he's never won the election, but he's the president today. And everybody, it's normal thing for our nation to elect anybody, and provided you have the without of the money and the connection of the people. In fact, you can run around anything and then you get it in the twinkling of an eye in our country. But what is remaining as we speak is for the so-called leaders to just sell the country off, then probably give us another place to take it. Just what is left for them, because it's about sharing and keep sharing and sharing and sharing. That's all the best they've been able to do, and that's what we've known them for.
And how do you expect anti-graft agencies to be factored into all of this? We know it's the presidency who is directly in charge of, in terms of calling the shot as to what's so well embedded even in the legislative structures in this country. So would you expect, or are you expecting, envisaging a situation where lawmakers who are purported to be corrupt would be gone after by these anti-graft agencies, or some of them, if not all, will not be shielded on the flimsy premise that they are lawmakers and are demanding for some kind of what's that word now? Being exempted from a prosecution immunity. Yeah, from prosecution. Do you think it is something that will play out under this current administration?
Raymond, the anti-graft agency, the man in charge of the agency, have you ever seen a man who is, they have issues. I want to give you a typical rephrase of it. Just imagine a village head who is shadowed the responsibility of judging matters within at the local level, was also found guilty. For instance, he stole, and then the community gathered to say he stole, and he said he didn't. And in front of him, there was a case for him to judge somebody who stole too. Between who stole and the chief at that point, who become the judges for both of them? A couple of months ago, and that it was his responsibility to go after criminal individuals in the country, was also leveled with billions of naira, and what economy running? I mean, a man who is shadowed with responsibility to look into alleged matters and probe them appropriately was also alleged. Who takes responsibility about the leg? that is available at your cost. And then when you're done, blame it to the next people. And then let's keep recycling it like that. And at the end of the day, by God's grace, when we raise a set of generation that will be coming after us, what do we have to tell them? Our forefathers are the 2/3 generation were stealing, so they left this crumb, so we pick it up to at the crumb, so we're leaving you with the little, so you manage. So we keep breeding. We keep breeding generation that's going to be established on false syllabus and all because our criteria and whatever selection procedure is done, the mechanism is not right. And then the same thing we keep saying about our educational sector, for instance, I'm sorry for breaching that.
Yeah, sure.
But we keep saying that our graduates are not employable. Come on, what do you expect from a system when there is no appropriate numeration for the lecturers? 1, 2, when the system is already porous. 2, imbalanced curriculum. The same lectures not 20 years ago is what they still doing on the lecture today. What do you expect? Same information 10 years ago that somebody was taught is the same note that is using to impact knowledge on a child who is in the school. So what do you expect? An outdated knowledge impacted 10 years later. So what do you expect the child to do?
Okay,
so it's the same thing for the...
Okay, go ahead.
I can hear you.
Go ahead.
So what do we expect in a system like that does not give respect to accountability and procedure appropriate? Bring people who knows what to do and how they can do it to do it in certain things better. And at least we're not saying let's be better, but we've asked, are we in this country now? Yet we can't get one thing right. Nothing. We can't get absolutely one thing right. Look at the subsidy and organized crime. And organized crime from 1999. And organized crime. Have you checked for how many weeks that this was challenged? Have you seen the queue in the filling station? I was expecting the entire population to gather in the filling station and choke every corner of the country. So if that I didn't go as I thought, as hoped, there is something to share about it. It's an organized crime by our same leaders. So what message are they passing to us? So we're just living by hope, and because we have tough skin, we bear whatever comes our ways just to survive and keep our life on.
So if you admit that subsidy is an organized crime, does this also mean that you have supported the call by President Bola Tinubu to scrap it off during his inaugural address?
It should not only be scrapped out, it should be investigated from 1999. Those who are all the parasocial, both the independent marketers and all the PMS directors and the MD on the NNPC, all of them should be brought to book, not just to be scrapped out. Let's have a clarity of what has happened from 1999 up to date. But the truth of the matter is, who will do that? Nobody will do that.
Okay, so I'd want
Nobody will do that. So we just...
Okay. A rider to that question Raymond earlier asked, I mean, in a quest for nation building in a democratic setup like Nigeria, we've been talking about oversight function. It remains crucial. What do you think? I mean, what suggestions do you have to the 10th National Assembly that they can do to ensure that all of those things we've been talking about are properly done?
See, in my opinion, firstly, government should hand off all companies, privatize all the companies, privatize all of them.
Privatize all companies?
All companies, just privatize all of them. Let it be handled by private business individuals and all of that. What is one? 2, all states, all these revenues, for instance, in a private we're generating a megawatts of the electricity and then push it, upgrade it to another state, to the center. On what basis? Every state should be independent. So resources like, for instance, at this that has been given allocation every blessed month. No, it is the state that should be given the center an allocation every blessed month. We produce the oil, for instance. Whatever that state produces, it should be a fraction to the center for proper management of the center. Not the center giving the state its own and leaving his people in poverty. 2, all our educational system should be privatized as well. What do I mean by that? There are a lot of funding, endowment fund in the education sector. Enough of all of this as to strike. These people can be on their own and generate their fundings. They don't have strike if the institution is on their own body. Exercise their own body. They have enough funding that the institution can be on their own, pay their salary, maintain the infrastructure of the place. They will function. It's happening in an advanced country. Enough of this excuse that we're seeing here. In my opinion, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, there might be no issues, of course, with privatizing most of these companies, as you have suggested. And interestingly, we've been talking about relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of government. These are some of the things that would have to pass through on the floor of Parliament. And we did ask before, because this whole discussion is centered around whether or not we'll likely have a rubber-stamped assembly that will just do whatever the executive says. And we're hoping this is not the case. One of these issues would likely be pushing through requests for privatizing some government-owned companies and parastatals. We've seen the telecommunication sector on the President Olusegun Obasanjo and the successes that we have recorded with that today. The banking sector, the aviation sector, even though we're having in our local parlance, we'll say KLEG with Nigeria Air and several others. This is one of such.
Raymond, what happened a couple of weeks ago was like another organized crime. The Minister of Aviation, I don't know who gave them such an outdated knowledge.
But then you had $600 million approved for the launch of the Nigeria Air logo alone. And it was pushed through. It was pushed through by Parliament. It was approved by Parliament without doing background checks on whether or not.
Can I tell you, the chairman committee on aviation, the chairman, whoever that is the chairman committee on the national service, whoever that is the chairman committee on aviation knows exactly the organized crime in conjunction with the federal executive council to defraud Nigeria and deceive us. That's not a Nigerian Air. That was Nigerian Air. It was just a mere just to get cheap records that Nigerian Air has been brought into back in existence again. Come on, man. These people. That's what I'm telling you, see. I think it's high time. Like I said, it's high time. I don't know. I don't know. And I want to say something, but I don't want to put the session on a very tight spot. But then, however,
please don't.
It's high time in this country that we must take cognizance of everything very seriously. See, this place has destroyed the entire politics, destroyed the economic frameworks. We had the second people that came in Second Republic, but the first people meant well. The likes of Aziz and Awolowo, the rest of them, they meant well. The next people who took over from them, they were a bunch of criminals. And then the third people who came in from 1999 again, changed everything completely. So, the entire thing is left for us as we speak. We can just imagine as large as this country is, how many billions of people inside. There is no healthcare, functional healthcare system where its own citizen can go and get a subsidized medical system. As we speak, in our various streets, do we have a government pipe-borne water that if you lack water, for instance, you can quickly rush and then go and fetch at the pump? Where is it? None. Electricity that we've been retailed today on a very exorbitant rate. Come on. There are so many things that is fundamentally wrong with our leaders, not because they don't know this thing. Raymond, they know, but because they can afford to send their children outside the country and live a better life, and whatever happens in this country is not their business. After all, my family doesn't live here, so anything that happens, we have what it takes to fly ourselves out to anywhere. And it's so sad to every young people out there who is always in support of anybody who come out for election. I can tell you for a fact, and for anybody to fact check, I don't support popular opinion when it comes to who will rule me. I don't care about the popular opinion. I will do a fact check within myself, and whatever makes me support you as a candidate, I have done. You might not. I'm not saying you 100% correct. It doesn't even happen, but it has some basic elements of quality that can portray to me. Okay, you have foresight. At least your policies are also perfect for me. But when I get that correctly, I will ride with you. So we see young people who we just jump into anybody and then just at the end of the day, we can't hold anybody accountable. And that's why for me, what happened in 2023, I am so glad that my involvement when we see, I share to anybody, we didn't lose the election 2023. By that I mean Peter Big never lost the 2023 election. Never. I can bet with anybody. He never lost the 2023 election. And I'm glad that he came and changed the narrative, and that will stay in the history of this country for a long time. And I'm glad that I was a part of such a revolutionary movement that will stay in the test of time. That's what we're talking about.
Okay. So
that's what we're talking about.
As we gradually wind down on the conversation now, let's revisit the apex of this discussion, and that's centered around the leadership strides Nigerians are expecting from the 10th Assembly under Senator Godswill Akpabio, who promised to work with his colleagues for the expansion of the revenue streams available to the country, especially from the huge but largely unregulated natural and solid mineral resource base that we have. Now, a bulk of this were extracted from his acceptance speech shortly after his election as Senate President, where he also promised to engender policies. Let me bring some excerpts from what he said yesterday and just read them out. He said, "On my part, I affirm that this leadership shall be yours. It shall be a servant leadership. It shall be an uncommon leadership. I urge you to remain hopeful, steadfast, and united. Nigerians must remember that the nation is caught up in global challenges and upheavals which have far-reaching consequences. Our Senate will remain watchful and will be responsive to these events." So in summary, and according to him, the expansion of revenue sources coupled with effective oversight functions which his leadership will engender will help to shore up the needed revenue for effective governance in this country. Is this just showboating methodry literally hit the ground running in achieving most of the promises that he has made with the task of governing the legislature? Starting from today, we're expecting them to reconvene for another session, and I think they had minutes ago, hour ago, that was around 10, yes. So do you think it will live up to these responsibilities?
Well, to whom much is given, much is expected of you. And, like I said, I reiterated earlier about his speech was very concise, brief, true to a fact. He realized and he understood also the enormous responsibility ahead and the challenges that is facing the nation at the moment. Well, blown it out of proportions. That he's not the president, and he's not also in the office of those who are shadowed with the responsibility of, remitting revenues to the nation account. So he's going to do his best. But then how about the multiple of his kind that are also responsible in the day-to-day management of the nation policy? So that's where the problem is. So you can do your best, like you are doing your best right now with your colleagues in the station. So how about those who are sent to the field to go gather news, report? Are they reporting accurate news, or they just by hear one or two person that draw a conclusion and give us the news? That's the problem. So you could do the best you can as a journalist, and like I just noted. So how about other co-workers, journalists that we're working in ensure that our reportage are thoroughly investigated and issues are properly investigated and done. Issues are done in very appropriate manner. So those are issues. So he's going to do his best, like I pointed out. But then how about those who are also shadowed with the responsibility of getting this thing done. So, but let's give him a credit and opportunity to lead the dance perfectly. And like you rightly noted, it not be a rubber stamp that's been quoted in all journals. It not be a rubber stamp 10th assembly that will yes sir, yes sir, yes sir in all in all bills. So, but then let's hope that he fulfilled his comments, and then 85% of what is expected of him is the citizens in citizen orientation should be part of their major focus, not mainly the thing that usually happens behind the door.
I hope that is the case as we look forward to a robust engagement between both arms of government for the betterment of Nigerians. But we have to say many thanks indeed, Bernard, for joining us on the conversation this morning on Jubilee 99.7 FM Lagos. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raymond. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much as well. Bernard Titus joining us all the way from Asaba, the Delta State capital, to talk us through these issues and more. It's been an engaging conversation, but it would matter little, Pascal, if we don't see these things happen in real time. Let's use the word that was trending during the elections. Real time. Now, governance in real time is what we're yelling out, calling out for.
Well, that started even before the elections. Remember, results posted in real time and all of it. So we're dealing with real times, truly. And like I've always said, is that we're looking at a 10th assembly, and he has actually mentioned it, and we hope that we can hold him accountable to all of these. These are documents, Raymond, that we need to keep. We need to make reference to when we probably notice that he is not keeping to his promises. I don't know if you share in the same opinion with me there, because he said that he's looking forward to a Senate that passes law that emphasizes economic viability, social acceptability, and environmental sustainability to encourage and alternate and green technologies without prejudicing developmental needs. There's so many things that said here. So we're going to keep hold of this document. We're going to, from time to time, make reference to this, to some of the things that said here. And we hope that the 10th Assembly, under his leadership, will turn out legislations that will, at the end of the day, we'll look at it and say, yes, it was worth it after all.
Yes, indeed. And let's just give ourselves some feelers of Parliament. Let's take a listen to a member of the Gambian Parliament, what is akin to the National Assembly in Gambia. And here's a member of the Parliament talking about, the fact that some of her colleagues on the floor of Parliament are not living up to the expectations of the people on them in terms of providing laws that will improve the welfare of the people of that country. And this was a video trending on social media. It happened right on the floor of the Gambian Parliament, and comparisons have been made as to at what time in Nigeria will we see someone stand up and speak up for the people like this. Let's take a listen.
I would first of all like to thank the committee clerks of this August House all night in this August Assembly preparing a report for us. I thank you, clerks of the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I think looking at the Honorable Minister's statement does not love this country. They do not have the feeling to nurture our children in this country. Honorable Speaker, $6 billion in salaries alone, not in administrative costs. The median age in this country is 19 years old. We should consider the life and the livelihood of our children. We should be investing in education. We should be investing in health rather than paying ourselves, feeding ourselves out of the poor people of this country. I will start with this August Assembly, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to see the salary of the Honorable Speaker increased from 658 million to 658,000 to 1,560,000. I feel ashamed to call myself an honorable member, honorable speaker. I gave myself for service. I did not give myself for the poor people to feed me and my family, honorable speaker. When I saw this, I felt embarrassed. I did not want to come to this budget session because I said to myself, there is no need, because we are just sharing the cake in our pockets, going home, feeding ourselves. Not only that, but to see the responsibility allowance, the residential allowance, the roving allowance, and all those for the representatives of the people. It is embarrassing for me to go back to my poor constituency and tell them that the meager resources of this country, I am paid that much at your expense. I took an oath, Honorable Speaker, to serve and to give back to my society, not to enrich myself. And even if I go to the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, it says that we shouldn't deliberately enrich ourselves. And increasing our salaries is deliberately. We should not accept any salary increment. It was in this August Assembly that we sat and discussed the salaries of the ministers and denied them, even though they went behind our backs and increased it. That is their problem. We offered ourselves for service, Honorable Speaker. We were not appointed. We were elected of our people when we do the budget.
Will we ever have a lawmaker stand up in Parliament and speak against the increase in salaries and welfare of Nigerian lawmakers, as this lady on the floor of the Gambian Parliament?
There's a part that actually caught my attention. There is where she said that she's I mean, from the poor people, from what they make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's not there to milk these people. We look forward to. Did I just say we look forward? Yes. Or rather, I look forward. I'll just speak for myself. Where we have lawmakers.
Me too.
Who
I join you. I'm looking. I look forward because
we're really passionate about the masses, because the reason why they are there is to represent the interest of the people. To tell Mr. President that, see, there are things happening that you probably are not aware of, and that's why we're here. This is what's happening in my constituency. And so we need to do something about it. And not just sit there and bear the I look forward to, or rather, if you have an assembly that is not being paid, and then you see lawmakers protesting and say, pay us our salaries.
they never pay us.
It's never happened. When we have issues with ASU, we have issues with NLC, minimum wage that we're still struggling to put together. And they are not affected.
At all.
At all.
It's a worry, but one we hope would be sorted, of course, as the days do go by, the weeks, the months, and of course the 4 years where we'll be mirroring through on the advent of this administration, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary, where everyone is watching. Tomorrow is an important date, by the way, of Atiku and the PDP will be appearing before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal as a witness. I'm sure Nigerians will be following up to get feelers on that one, and we'll be here tomorrow to put you up to speed with that as well. But that's the size of the morning dialogue. But stay with us when we come back from this very short time. We're wrapping it up on the breakfast show, so we can give way to the other crews who will be continuing up on the day's broadcast. Don't move a muscle.
It's Jubilee 99.7. We are 100% fun side of radio. Isn't that why you love it? Jubilee 99.7, because you love it.
One day you'll be. One day you'll be. One day to box. Tennis music.
Right back like we never left. And time check, it's 11:54 a.m. Just coming up to 11:55. It's about time we drew the curtains on the breakfast show this morning. Jubilee 360 comes your way 7 to midday, weekdays. Don't miss it for anything in the world. Well, today it was me and Pascal doing it, gents, on a day women like to call their own. They say in our WCW. Oh, we don't take women shine, no. Pascal.
Well, true. Let's do this way. It's men supporting men, so.
No be lie.
Let's ride.
And Basil is here for background support. I'm sure if you kept up with him in the course of the morning, I think he started up the day with us from 1 to around 4:30. You catch more from us, of course, later this evening. We'll be right here for sports full time, that is, 8 to 9 p.m. But sadly, we won't be here tomorrow on the breakfast show. Mimi will be here with you and Gabby. Make sure you stay on with them for that. But we have to go right now. Thank you so very much for joining us. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms and spread the word around. Jubilee 99.7 FM is up in the air right here in Lagos. We'll love to do this with you, and we hope you stay on with us as well. Pascal, it's been fun talking with you this morning.
Same here. We'll look forward to having people, lawmakers rather, who can speak truth to power.
Very important.
Very important.
More important. All right, thank you very much. And since it's a Wednesday, let's still dedicate it to the women, as they love to call it, the Women Crush Wednesday. Yes, Kai, the cost this one, Julie. We'll see you again next time. But from me, Raymond Ater, the Grand Commander, order of the microphone. Thank you for joining.